Hello YouTube, NMP0 here, and I have another poll for you guys. And if you guys want to be part of the polls, please head over to my channel, hit on that community tab, and you can vote for all the questions I post on there. So for this week's question, I asked you guys, what feature do you hate in a fighting game? For option 1, we have comeback mechanic at 16%. For option 2, we have one touch kills at a whopping 52%. For option 3, we have combo breakers at 13%. For option 4, we have unblockable moves at 9%, and the last option, other, at 10%, where you guys write in any mechanic that you didn't like in the comments below. So let's get into it. Okay, so for option 1, comeback mechanic at 16%. I thought this option was going to be the one that took the #1 spot for the most hated, but I was completely wrong by a lot. Well, I wasn't off by that much since it's second place, but you know, the gap between first and second place is just so wide that it seems like a lot. But anyways, let me explain to you guys why I thought this option was going to be the most hated option out of all of them. And it is because I come from a Street Fighter and Marvel vs. Capcom background, and I hate the comeback mechanics in both those games. For example, for Marvel, you know, that X Factor is just way too powerful. Having to beat a team like 2 characters and having your last character come in and just X Factor and wipe your whole team was one of the most frustrating things that I've ever gone through. So, you know, that's why I hate X Factor. But I hate V-Trigger even more. And that's because X Factor, no matter how broken it was broken for the whole cast. Like, if you had a X Factor level 3 Doctor Doom and he went up to an X Factor level 3 Ryu, Doctor Doom might be the better character, but if Ryu gets one touch, you're dead. It doesn't matter because both of you are in X Factor level 3. That's what it is. As broken as it sounds, it's still fair because both characters are broken. But when you talk about V-Triggers, you can have a whole tier list of V-Triggers. Some characters get completely screwed with their V-Triggers, and other characters are just blessed with theirs. So if you're gonna make a comeback mechanic, you should make a comeback mechanic that works for the whole cast, so the whole cast is broken and can do crazy stuff. If you make a comeback mechanic for each individual character in your fighting game, then you're gonna have an unbalanced comeback mechanic, and I just don't like that, and I don't think it's fair. Okay, so moving on to option 2, one touch kills at 52%, and I gotta say I feel a little bit personally attacked on that one, because when I used to play Marvel vs. Capcom, that's all I used to do is look for one touch kills, and I used to be in the training room just practicing them. Like, hey, you know, maybe I could get this from, like, you know, super jump height, standing, crouching, like just look for it. Any way I could get a one touch skill. And so yeah, I kind of feel a little bit sad about everybody hating on that option. But there were people in the comment section defending one touch kills, and I agree with what they were saying, because it's basically saying that if the one touch kill is execution heavy, you know, very hard to do, then it's justifiable. If it's an easy one touch kill, then you know, it's kind of breaks the game, doesn't take no skill, no effort, then it shouldn't be in the game. And I had one comment saying I actually don't mind one touch kill combos, but I actually dislike infinites. So I agree with this person, but it's kind of hard to put into words as to why I agree with this person, because infinites and one touch kills are sort of the same thing, but I just don't like infinites. In Marvel vs. Capcom, when TAC infinites were discovered, I did not like them at all, but I still had no problem with people doing one touch kills. I do not know why that is, and it's just something hard for me to explain. So if anybody can help me out with that, you know, write that in the comments, you know, let me know if you agree with that, if you think it's just the same thing, do you even care? But yeah, let's move on to the next option, which is option 3, combo breakers at 13%. The first game that I played that had this mechanic was MK11, and I didn't love the mechanic, I didn't hate the mechanic, it was just something that was there. I did find it cool that sometimes you could put your opponent in a checkmate scenario where no matter what they do, they're gonna die. You can break away, you could take the hit, whatever, you're gonna die. You know, I think that was cool. And if your opponent actually thinks that you're gonna break away and they adjust their combo, you can end up taking even more damage than if you didn't break away. So I think that just adds another layer to the fighting game, and usually that's a good thing. So with this mechanic, if it's there, I like it. If it's not there, it's fine. You know, it's not something I love, it's not something I hate, it's just something that can add another layer to the fighting game if it's done properly. And I know some people completely hate this mechanic because they feel if they get the hit, it should just count and your opponent shouldn't be able to break away. But I mean, it's not something that you can do all the time. You know, if you break away once, then the next hit most likely you're not going to be able to break away or burst or whatever, so your opponent can use it very sparingly. So if you get a hit, they break away, and you got another hit, then they shouldn't be able to break away, and it's all rushed down from there. You know, they have no more defensive options, or at least a breakaway defensive option. But, you know, I can see how people hate this. It's just, it's, you know, to each his own. Maybe some people like it, some people don't. I don't care for it. You know, if it's there, whatever. If it's not there, I'm not going to miss it. So let's move on to the next option, which is Unblockable Moves at 9%. And that's the option with the least amount of hate also. And I think this has the lowest amount of hate just because unblockable moves are either really slow or you need a specific setup to pull it off. Not only that, but these type of moves, usually if you're able to combo after them, they scale pretty hard, so you're not going to get as much damage as if you would have got a regular hit. So sometimes it's not even worth it. Okay, so to give some quick examples, let's go with Street Fighter V Ryu. For his unblockable, you need to have full meter, and you have to be in V-trigger, and your opponent can't have V-trigger. So those three conditions right there, you know, very specific conditions. So let's say you put your opponent in block stun, you pull out super, they can't have V-trigger, and you get the guard break, right? So you have to be, one, close enough to actually combo after it, because it's not that easy to combo after that. And two, once you do combo into it, the combo scaling goes really hard, so you're not going to do as much damage. But yeah, that's actually, you wasted all super and you didn't even get full damage on the regular combo. So is it worth it? Sure, if you're doing like a checkmate scenario where they have no life. But as a viable option, like every time, it's completely not worth it. To give another example, in Marvel vs. Capcom, there was a character named Firebrand that can do an unblockable move, but you had to charge it up. So the whole point of the team was you get Firebrand and you get a lockdown assist. And you would snap in your opponent, and when they come in, you would do the lockdown assist to hold them there for a bit while you charge up your move, and then you hit them. But again, it scaled pretty hard, and you had to be committed to the team, so you needed a lockdown assist no matter what. And it had its value, but it also had its like drawbacks. And I mean, the team was viable, but it wasn't like as viable as any other team, or less viable than any other team. It was just a strategy. So now with the last option, we have other at 10%, and let's see what you guys wrote in. So for the first comment, we have auto combos, and I can't believe I forgot about these. They should have been in the original poll as a choice, but like I said, I forgot about it. Sorry about that. And I absolutely hate these. I've yet to meet a player that does like them, but they put them in the game so it would sell better to a casual audience, you know, so like casual people could just play and do combos by pressing one button. I just hate it, but I understand why they use them. Let me know if you guys like these, if you care for these. You know, maybe you just don't care if they're there, if they're not, but let me know in the comments down below. And like I said, I completely hate this. Maybe somebody can change my mind. So next up, we have mechanics that require mashing. So I agree and disagree with this statement at the same time, because for me, it depends on what you're mashing for. For example, in Street Fighter, if you pick Chun-Li or E Honda, you have to mash to get their moves out, the 100 hand slaps and the kicks. And to do this, you actually have to build up a skill called pianoing, which is just pressing the buttons in a certain way to press 5 buttons, and then, you know, the heavy 100 hand slap comes out and stuff like that. So for me, that actually takes skill, and it widens the skill gap between players, so that's completely viable. Unlike in Marvel, where if you mash after a super, you get more damage. I think that's just no reason to do that. Just give the base damage and that's it. But they decided that if you do a super and you mash it out as like hard as you can, you'll get more damage. And it takes no skill to mash buttons, man. Like there's no real technique to do it. It's just you mash buttons as fast as you can and you get max damage. I just don't see no reason why they would implement this. But it is what it is. Let's move on to the next comment. And Bobby Quinn comments, I actually heavily dislike block buttons. Now I agree with what he's saying here, but I don't dislike the block button that much. But it does take something away from fighting games, which is the cross up, and I like doing cross ups and I like blocking cross ups, and the block button takes away from that and it doesn't give anything back. Now, like I said, I don't really dislike the block button that much, but I still feel it takes something away, and I do much prefer to block while holding back. And given the option, I will always choose to hold back to block instead of the block button. And this came to me when I was playing Grand Blue, and in that game you can either press the button to block or you can hold back, and I rarely use the button to block. Even at cross-ups, I would just rather guess left or right instead of like using the block button. I just don't like it. I feel it takes away from the game and it doesn't give anything new to a game. So yeah, that's just my opinion on it. And that's the end of the video, guys. So if you guys want to be part of the poll, just remember, go to my community tab and you can vote for all the questions I put on there. See you guys next time.